Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to have a look at what happened at QuickBooks Connect that's only just recently happened. Now all this information has been compiled from our bi-weekly podcast, QuickBooks Labs, where we talk about everything you need to know about QuickBooks Online. But with the QuickBooks Connect being so important, I thought I'd compile some of the best bits from the recent episode so we can discuss and see how they are. So let's use this video as an opportunity to find out what's coming new in QuickBooks Online and how it's going to affect your business.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it starts, I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me.
My name's Aaron Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, certified UK trainer from Intuit with a fancy new badge, and also that QuickBooks chap. Now this video is straightforward enough. We're going to find out what's new within QuickBooks, and we've taken all that information from our bi-weekly podcast, QuickBooks Labs. If you like what you see, then why not think about going over to QuickBooks Labs live every other Tuesday at 4:30 p.m, where we get a chance to answer your questions live on air. Without further ado, let's head over to QuickBooks Labs itself, find out what's new within QuickBooks Online that's going to be coming and affecting your business. Let's have a look. So if I bring up the share, I even prepared a nice little presentation for us. There's no expense or time spared on this show, I have you know. So QuickBooks Connect, as you can see, me and Ash really did enjoy ourselves virtually, making the most of those photos. He had no idea this was coming up. Making the most of the photo opportunity and putting ourselves out there on there. It was a shame that it wasn't live, or should I say, it wasn't a shame that it wasn't in person, as me and Ash has really enjoyed the last couple of ones, haven't we? It's been a really good event in the last couple of years. But, you know, current circumstances, we made the most of it, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it was alcohol-free. I think if we'd have been there might have been some alcohol involved if we'd have actually met up live. But, you know, maybe, you know, next time, for sure, we'll make up for it. With a headache too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's only going to get bigger and better. And as I keep telling everyone, I was going for take a selfie, and then Rishi Kit gave me a call about the budget just to go through it with me. So, you know, these times these days, you know, it's just you just can't get through with it. Okay, so they first went to announce. So we're going to put most of our energy on the show about what's been announced around QuickBooks, and they divided it into 3 different areas. So one of the main areas was control cash flow, as they said. And the first announcement they made was all about going through the way that the online payments is going to be made. So this is all about when you send a invoice out from QuickBooks, there's going to be some enhancements coming to that area. And the enhancement themselves is all about basically making it even easier for you to receive payment. So this can't be a bad thing. Now, the way it works is they're going to be using the fact that we've got that open banking technology, and also the fact that there's going to be an introduction of a new banking option. We'll come around to that in a moment. But the idea of using those technology means that instead of just having the options that we've got now, which is get paid by basically PayPal, but it's a pay now button sat there, and also getting paid by Go Cardless, which is a direct debit solution, you're going to have an option to get paid directly to your bank account from the invoice itself. So it looks like a really slick way of doing it. What are your thoughts on that one, Ash?
Yeah, I thought that was great, actually, when I saw that, because, you know, lots of businesses, as soon as they think that they're going to have to use something else in the middle, you know, like PayPal or whatever, the first thing they're going to think is, how long is that going to take to actually get in the bank? In addition to that, am I going to suffer a charge as a result? And that all seems to me like it's a case of, well, it would be, you know, almost the same day payment, and you're not going to get charged for it. So it's a win-win.
Definitely. And I myself, I've had problems with this week. So I can't quite get my finger on what's happened fully, but basically QuickBooks and PayPal, they've had to, it might be to do with all these new fees that have come through or whatever the reason is, but basically I used to have connected for both AppleCore and PayPal, AppleCore and Boffix, my PayPal accounts. They both were separate PayPal accounts. Pretty sure both of them were business ones. They were both kind of legit PayPal business accounts, but for whatever reason, both of them failed overnight. There was no warning, no issues, no anything else. So basically, people couldn't make payments by the way, or customers couldn't make payments the way they would normally. The Boffix one was a simple reconnect it, everything went okay again. But the AppleCore one still hasn't been resolved. It's still going through the process of making sure that everything's correct. And I've had to be reassessed as a business and all this, that, and the other on the PayPal on the PayPal side. So it's kind of one of those things where having another option is always going to be a good thing. I know Xero have the Stripe integration from memory. I might have got that wrong. Yeah. They definitely have some third-party solution. So yeah, the more we can get there, the better. And it will just stop these little issues that we've got. We can show you how that looks. So going forward, you're not just going to have the option to accept card payments via PayPal with that nice Pay Now button, but you'll also be able to accept secure transfers. And the idea is that you can basically dictate to a client which option they've got. So do you want to do both of them? Do you want to do one? Do you want to do the other? Whatever's going to be best for you. So you tick the box, and the next screen is looking a little bit like this. And as you can see there, you've got debit card, credit card, PayPal, and now bank transfer as well. We always had debit card, credit card, PayPal. That's always been there for us. Now we've got the option for bank transfer. And as simple as this is, your customer will then be able to select what bank they use, and they'll be able to use open bank technology, authentication, and all that sort of stuff to transfer the funds accordingly. So it can't really be any simpler, can it, Ash?
No, I think it looks very, very good. So I can't wait almost for it to be available so we can give it a good test.
Definitely. I think the only thing I would love, and we'll find out when we get to play around with it, the only thing I'd really love for this to do is to finally give the option of paying more than one invoice at a time, because that's the one limitation of doing it this way. It's literally you pay for that particular invoice and then you go on. And, if you've got clients in arrears, or, they for whatever reason, they've got a payment plan with you or whatever it's got to be, and they've had to go through and individually pay off each individual invoice, which, is one of those extra kind of, when you're trying to get paid from a client, you want to make it as smooth and as simple and as straightforward as possible for them. So, yeah, I've had that before of, what do you mean I've got to pay each individual invoice? So fingers crossed there'll be kind of some sort of element to that, but we won't know until we play around with it. There was no date though on this one, was there?
No, but yeah, just what we were saying there, and other apps, they definitely want that feature almost like attached to a statement, don't they? So if you send an electronic statement out, then that's going to have more than one invoice on if there is more than one outstanding, and then pay them all.
Definitely. Yeah. Just get that friction away, and then it's all paid for and done. Or at least be able to amend it, because at the moment when you make a payment, then although it does say here that there is a little pencil mark here, so maybe it'll give you the opportunity to change that amount now, which you've never been able to do. So when it was paying by PayPal direct debit credit card, it was just set for whatever the figure was. So maybe this direct payment, you might be able to choose there. We'll see when we get to play around with it.
Yeah.
Me and Ash both said beforehand that we both sat down and said we're going to be involved as any betas as possible. So we're sure to show you on here if there's any adjustments, and on our channels as well. So yeah, it looks like this. So in this case, they chose HSBC. Then basically it's there as you're logging in as your bank account, basically, authorizing the payment that way. And then you get a nice little invoice paid button with a tick on it. They love their green ticks, don't they? And then that goes from there. And the next bit was, and I'm really excited about this one. I think this is a really great opportunity here. And this was their own bank account, effectively. Well, let's not call it a pure bank account. Let's call it a challenger bank for now until we see exactly what it can do. But they're calling it QuickBooks Cash. And the idea of QuickBooks Cash is that just like people, well, we're assuming this, by the way, because we're obviously only going by what we've seen. But if we base it on what it looks like from the US and from what we know that they were trying to implement, then there'll be an opportunity to have a form of bank account that is called QuickBooks Cash. So you'll have a physical bank card and you'll have the opportunity to do basically all of the bank transfers and all of your banking and everything within QuickBooks itself. And that's where it becomes really, really powerful. Now, if it is like Revolut or Tide or those sort of accounts, those sort of challenger accounts, then this could be a really exciting or interesting way of being able to deal with it. Because effectively, you're not just then subscribing to your bookkeeping solution, but also your bank account or your bank solution as well. Certainly the way that I'm using Revolut and all those sort of challenges about, I use it in conjunction with a main high street bank. So I will have a Revolut bank account and I'll have a, NatWest or whatever I'm using at that time. So it could be a case that this will be that sort of arrangement where it's going to be a really great complementary bank account to have to help with expense management, help with stuff like that. And one of the nice things that come with the other challenger banks, or hopefully QuickBooks will be able to kind of implement some of these features, is the ability to have virtual cards and things like that. So the idea then is that you can actually quickly create just a virtual card to use maybe as a one-off payment. So, if you've got a payment to make on behalf of a customer or a client, or you've got an employee that you've got to make a payment for, or they've got to make a payment for, whatever it's going to be, you can quickly drum up a virtual card, send the details to them, they use it once and it gets deleted after that. So there's like loads of great fraud prevention opportunities and stuff that hopefully will be implemented in here. What they've also said is if you're using the QuickBooks Cash solution, then they'll give you, or there'll be more opportunities in there, like the idea to put in automatic savings for income and getting income being deposited straight away. And what I really liked about it was they're incorporating it with the cash flow as well. So the idea is you can see your cash flow, and if it's a case that this one expense is going to make you overdrawn, then at that point you can move that payment date to a different date so that you don't become overdrawn. So it's all about integrating not only your bookkeeping but your banking as well. What did you think of that idea, Ash?
Yeah, no, I did. I saw that bit. I thought, I thought it is a great idea. I'm just really, I'm just intrigued into how the whole sort of QuickBooks Bank thing is going to work. Is it going to be like? So when I first sort of saw it, and I thought that customers are going to will pay you through a QuickBooks account. For some reason, I thought, is this going to be almost like a factoring bank to begin with? And then I thought, perhaps, no, it's not. Are they going to advance you straight away and then get the money? But I don't think it's going to be that. It's like a completely separate bank, isn't it? That you can receive money into and pay money out of. But just the integration will be, I suppose, better for QuickBooks.
Yeah, and I think end goal that I know we've definitely seen murmurings of them trying to get to that position of a factoring option and everything else. So I think end goal wise, I think that's where they want to be, and that's where ultimately that's kind of what will help not just them but their clients more than anything, won't it? If they have the opportunity to be able to bring factoring directly into the solution, that's an absolute game changer, and that'll be a massive coup for everyone involved. But I think this is kind of baby steps towards that. I think this is, but it's either going to be one of two ways. It's either going to be effectively just a PayPal in a different name, where it's just an online account that you can just deposit money to and get money out of, sort of idea, make payments every now and again, or it's going to be a full-blown challenger bank, using quotes and everything, and challenger banks have all of the kind of benefits of having a bank, other than you can't put checks in there and stuff at the moment, unless Starling or get BB loans and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be kind of, well, it'll be interesting to see whereabouts it falls in that spectrum. Is it more PayPal? Is it more Revolut, for example, and whereabouts it falls? But if they can get it to be very much similar to what Revolut offers in terms of functionality and everything else, then this could be really, really interesting. And like I said, as a complementary bank account, I think it's perfect. It's, you could use it as purely just an expense management tool. You could have it so your employees can make payments and everything else in a secure environment, that you're not give them access to all of the company's bank accounts. You know what I mean? It's like you could just use it as a pot of money, if you like, and have it there. And I think that's where, in my mind, that's where the power of this comes from. It's like convenience and having that expense management, because it's all going to feed into that bank account so much better than any other bank there's ever been, because obviously it's their own. So you would have thought there'll be no need to re-authenticate after 90 days and them sort of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as you were saying that, Aaron, I'm sort of thinking, you'll have your main bank that will probably hold the majority of your cash, but all the general ins and outs that happen during the course of the month, you'd use your QuickBooks bank for that. Then anything that's left over, you funnel it away to a different bank once you've sort of finished with it. So almost like using it. Yeah, so your main bank probably gets hardly any use, but your QuickBooks one, because you know that you're going to be doing everything electronically through it, paying your suppliers, paying your employees, getting your money from your customers. It's all going to sort of there, sit in nicely. Everything should tie in as it should. Fingers crossed, you'd hopefully be less errors because of the deep integration that should be built.
Yeah.
Yes, very interesting.
And they mentioned about automatic savings as well. So the ability to, or at least it was in passing, the ability to automatically save for taxes and stuff like that. If they can get that right, then that really is an amazing tool. And also I'm thinking from an accountant's point of view, when we set up clients, one of the questions we get is that, well, what bank account should we go with? And I know we can't go, we're not financial advisors, so we can't go and say definitely have this one or definitely have that one. But we give a list of them, and one of them is a QuickBooks one that integrates beautifully with QuickBooks. And I think that's going to be a really strong take up, I would assume, from clients, because it's just about preventing that friction and making it really simple and easy for them to set up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the automatically save money. Most of the business owners I've met, if they see there's some money in one bank account, it can get spent. So regardless if there's an automatic feature to save for tax, if it's there, actually no, I'm going to go on holiday with that. So nice try, QuickBooks, to take that money away from me, but actually I'm going to use it at the moment. So we'll see exactly how that works.
Yeah, I've got plenty of clients like that as well. But yeah, I really, and hopefully it's like it was on the US demo. So the US demo went into it a little bit more. I forget when that was, like 3 months ago, was it? Was it November time, something like that? It was around that time, wasn't it? But they were going into paying employees and paying suppliers and having that sort of functionality as well. So fingers crossed we get that as well. Obviously, there'll have to be security involved. There's going to have to be some form of authentication or whatever it's going to be. But in fact, on the QuickBooks Advanced one, they were using the whole approval process. So it was like you were said that I want to make a payment. It went to someone to be approved, and it got paid, sort of idea. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be able to bring that sort of functionality over, because that would be, well, that could be another avenue for accountants to go down. A really secure place where you can actually start properly looking after clients, not only cash flow, but actually the payment of things and everything else on the secure environment. So, there's potential there, isn't there? Yeah, no, that would be ideal if you were able to, just like I do with in my own sort of bank,
sort of a net tracker. I can set up a payment, with Lloyd's.
Yeah.
But between myself and Andy, the other director, one of us sets it up in the bank, and the other person will authorize it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want in QuickBooks. And we want someone to set it up, and then we want either the business owner or the manager, someone with a higher level authority to go in there and just say, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Release the payment.
Because as much as the Lloyd's thing is really good and works really well, you're still limited to who has access to that bank account, aren't you? Which is only ever going to be people who have signed up to the bank and got themselves involved and everything else. So for anyone to offer that as a solution, like a bookkeeping solution, for example, that's going to be a lot of hoops to jump through. Whereas if it can all be within QuickBooks, I think that could be quite a nice feature for everyone. They also mentioned, now I think I misheard them because they said 15 months cash flow, but I assume that's just the 3 months they've already got in there plus a bit extra. But even saying that, they've got a couple of extra months there than what we're used to. But I can't imagine it going as far as 15 months, but an extension to the cash flow or the cash flow planner is what they will give you as an incentive to use the card. How or why they get more information when it's the QuickBooks account compared to others, I don't know, but they're saying that they'll be able to be more accurate in the prediction. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be useful to test anyway on that one, because I know at the moment, as much as I was really excited, and I am really excited about the cash flow planner, it's failed miserably for me over the last couple of months. Like, in all those predictions that were made at the beginning have now started to fall off. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward. Okay, they then moved on after the cash flow to taking care of taxes. So let's just quickly go through what they announced on this one. To be fair, none of this was anything new, was it? It was all a case of stuff we already knew about, already kind of aware of. I assume this was more to bring everyone up to the same panel, so we all were in the same kind of understanding of where we're at the moment. But effectively, it was the self-assessment estimate. No indication here of if we're ever going to be able to file this. But again, as we talked about on the appraisal, on the predictions one, it doesn't really make sense then building technology for us to file via this way when this way is going to be dead as a dodo in a couple of years' time anyway. So it probably will only ever come this far under the current self-assessment regime. And then when we move over to making tax digital, they'll have a fancy way of posting it then, won't they, I assume? Yeah,
well, they did mention this, and something they're going to come to about the beta for making tax digital for personal tax, for this. So, I think this is like step one of it. I think this feature will be available for people to file. I think that, personally, I do. I've not been told, but if I was, putting my sort of developer hat on, I'm thinking I've built this. Why would I build it to this particular level if I'm not going to do something else with it?
Yeah,
just as a forecasting tool, when I know that actually I've got everything there I want, and I just need to make a few more tweaks, like we've spoken about before, like putting additional income on, like from wages or pensions or whatever it might be. If I've got the features of putting those extra things in, which I'm sure will be quite easy to add in, and then if I have that, and then it's calculating what my tax is going to be, I could submit it.
Yeah,
and I think the fors and against on this is going to be, so there's going to be some accountants that are thinking, actually, I don't really what we want, so if I'm putting my accountant head on, I want this feature to be maybe visible, but almost like part disabled. So if I'm the accountant in charge of this account, I want my client to be able to, see it, possibly, so they get an idea of what their tax might be. But in no way or form do I want them to try and submit it, because one, I need to be able to review it because it's probably wrong, because income and expenditure might have been recorded in the wrong pot, so so we need to be able to make sure this is an optional one, possibly controlled by the accountant as to whether it can be filed or not.
Yeah,
That would be, yeah, because as you know, and as you know, as you know, lots of accountants will have their own method of actually filing the tax, whether they're using Tax Filer or Iris or what do you use, Aaron?
Captain, but yeah.
Captain, yeah. So you know they'll be using those features to check their accounts and then file from there. So they don't want any filings from QuickBooks because it would only end up duplicating stuff. So it's going to be, I think it'll be interesting in a couple of years when it all is, things that need to be done, and it'll just be how are people going to do it?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. I think my only devil's advocate for that is that at the moment QuickBooks got quite a nice way out, because if you think about it, if they develop a full-blown let's submit a self-assessment tax return to QuickBooks to HMRC, then they've got to look at everything outside of QuickBooks. So they've got to go and look at putting on P60s and all the other elements that have got to go with creating a full-scale self-assessment tax return. Whereas if they just wait until MTD, then they just only have to care about what's in QuickBooks, because MTD, you submit each individual tax revenue stream. So, if you've got rental, if you've got self-employed, if you've got P6, whatever it's going to be, you submit them all individually. So they'll probably, from a developer point of view, it must be easy to develop something that's just within QuickBooks to something that you've also got to capture stuff outside of QuickBooks, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. I've sort of forgotten about that, Aaron, because when we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, it could be like people have got to submit multiple more returns than what they do already, and more times a year. So yeah, that's. The more I think about it, the more relieved I'm not actually doing accounting and bookkeeping, because if I think I've got to do instead of doing 50 tax returns, I've got to do 200 a quarter or whatever.
Yeah,
that's just a bloody nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting going forward. I'll just actually, before we move on, just notice we have a few shout outs there. Hi Paul. Great to see you. Zahir, wow, even Zahir's made it. So anyone who doesn't know, do go and check his YouTube channel, one of the gods of YouTube, and Charlie's in as well. And I know Charlie did a great idea. He did a follow along on Zoom for QuickBooks Connect. So hopefully that went really well. Unfortunately, we were both involved in our own, weren't we, in the TWN, so the Trainer Writers Network scenario, but hopefully that went really well, Charlie. And Charlie also says that it was 15 months as well. So that's I'm glad I didn't mishear that. I thought that was oddly odd number to choose, 15 months, but more dates they can put in for that cash flow, the better. Brilliant. Okay, yeah. So the next part on the self-assessment side of things was I say on the taxes was CIS. Now I'm doing a bit of a cop out on this one, and a bit of a plug, because both me and Ash hopefully are doing a webinar on Friday for QuickBooks themselves over at the on the Intuit website. So if you go and have a gander over the Intuit website, go to the webinar section. You'll see there at 10 o'clock to 11:30. Me and Ash have got Ash is running it, a CIS webinar. And then you'll be able to actually see some of these features and everything that's been announced there. So we definitely know we can show you some of those bits, like the getting all your CIS people paid and all that sort of stuff. And there'll be other bits that hopefully we'll be able to share as well. Anything else you want to add to that one, Ash?
Yeah, it's all around. So not just sort of CIS. So you've got a bit on the project. So how projects work as well. So monitoring your profit and loss against your project. And then slightly building it up. So we start on basic, and then with a basic project, and then looking at a subcontractor, then looking at a contractor that has subcontractors. So sort of 3 different scenarios, building as we go with different little options as we're creating some transactions through.
Yeah, it does seem like or compared to what was announced, we don't quite go into exactly the same amount of detail, do we? But there was. It'll be a good webinar nonetheless to kind of get to grips with some of the new features that are going to go through. But what they actually announced was the ability to be able to make payments and everything, which we cover in that webinar as well. So yeah, it's again, I'm not sure why it became an announcement, because it was technically already there, although not 100% working as intended. So I suppose that's what they were telling, wasn't it? But yeah, it's just an announcement. I think they were trying to push it through. And then support your team. So then they moved over to QuickBooks Payroll, which I think it's safe to say that they're kind of, I think we're going to expect this a lot going forward, aren't we? It's kind of that segmentation of the product. We've got QuickBooks Online as one product, QuickBooks Payroll as another. So I suppose going forward, we should always expect to have a payroll section, shouldn't we? And what new features were coming. So the new features was a rename of T-Sheets to QuickBooks Time. And also it looks like there's going to be a nice lick of paint to it as well. It looks like the functionality seems to be pretty much the same, doesn't it, Ash? It's just a different lick of paint for it for now.
Yeah, just slightly, just different color branding more than anything else.
But it's always a good piece of software. I highly recommend people to have a look at it. If you have got any staff that you do for timing, we're looking to implement it for our practice, especially now we're remote, and it integrates. Well, it's going to be promised to be integrating with QuickBooks Advanced Payroll. There's no news yet on that actually coming live, is there? That's just a one for the future, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I've not heard anything quite yet.
But once that is integrated, that'll be a really great feature. Another announcement for QuickBooks Payroll is they finally have their integration with Nest. Again, no timing on when this is going to go live, but it's, I can't wait for this to go through. I mean, they've got March the 5th, 1st to the 28th of February payroll. So fingers crossed it's in the next payroll that comes along. Because, at the moment, just so anyone's aware, you can submit the data to Nest, but then you have to physically go to Nest to make the submission and make it work and everything else. So, let's hope that's being put in sooner or later. That was just advanced, though, wasn't it? It wasn't for normal payroll. Or did I mishear that?
Oh, I think that's for the normal payroll. So it's already Nest is already in advanced. Pretty sure.
But not all the way, though, is it? You can't submit it. You can just send it. You basically tell Nest what's happened. You still got to go into Nest to actually physically submit it, haven't you?
Oh yeah, you might have not had, because I've not actually had to do it. So
yeah.
All right, so that might be the case.
I'll keep an eye on that one because we use Nest and QuickBooks Advanced Payroll for the firm, so that's the only reason why I know.
Okay.
That's why I can keep an eye on that one for everyone. But at the moment, But so this was to clarify. Then this is for payroll, the basic payroll. Then is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, looking at that screenshot is basic payroll.
Is it? Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't use basic payroll. So cool. Okay, brilliant. So so that is the basic payroll going through. That's excellent. So what did you have to do before then? Was it just a case of just like export and import job then, or?
I've never used a new basic QuickBooks Payroll, so I'm not quite sure on that.
And there was never.
I mean, it used to work fine with. PaySuite used to be fine with a direct link through to Nest.
Okay, that'll be interesting. I'll definitely have a play with that one, see how that one goes. And then the workforce idea. So this is basically QuickBooks basic payroll is getting the same functionality that Advanced has got, to a point where you'll have a client portal. They've been talking about this for a while, haven't they? This has been one of those ones that's always been on the roadmap as something that's going to be, but it looks like it's here and definitely a good thing. I actually really, really like the portal. It was the reason we moved over from whatever we use. In fact, we're using Capian before. We moved from there to QuickBooks to utilize the portal itself, because it's so handy just to send a link out to a new employee, let them fill out all the details for you. That's an absolute lifesaver. Couldn't recommend that sort of functionality enough. I know you pay suites and stuff do that as well, but that is a great time saver, a great little functionality. And also for us, we used it for payroll and HR and holiday management and HR and them sort of elements as well. That's not quite in basic yet, is it? But at least they've got the opportunity to go in and get their pay slips and stuff, which is great.
Yeah, the employee portal is pretty good in advanced payroll. And I was saying to someone a little while ago, is that every time I used to do payroll before, I was almost pretty insistent on keeping expenses out of it, because when I used to use the old payroll, it didn't really matter what you sort of put on the payroll, so whether they were expenses or whatever, they all got lumped on the same nominal code when the auto journals went through, which is like horrendous when you're trying to look at things and reconcile it up. But at least with advanced payroll, you set up an expense type and you say that if someone's putting through a mileage claim, it goes to travel or motor expenses or whatever. Yeah. So when those payroll journals go through for an expense claim, it's going to go to the right category and not a payroll category. So that's why I'm quite keen on using that.
Excellent. Yeah. No, I can definitely see it being a good thing, and it's one of those as well where it's it makes sense, doesn't it? That it or not makes sense, but it was almost kind of crazy that it wasn't there from day one. I suppose that was the way that they differentiated between advanced and basic, wasn't it? Was the fact that they had it there. So yeah, it's going to be a good thing. And there we have it. It's pretty much a roadmap of what we expect to see within QuickBooks in the next year or so. Now, there'll obviously be more information that's going to come relevant to all of those bits over time, but make sure you're subscribed to this channel where we're going to go through every aspect of it and deep dive into it to make sure that it affects your business and how it works. So keep in touch with this channel, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll make sure that you get the most out of QuickBooks Online. My name's been Aaron Patrick. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.
I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it's dark, I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me too. I can be a fighter if you want, I can be a fighter, I can be a fighter if you want. I can be a fighter if you want. All the way that I feel, I know that it's real, 'cause I can get him out of my head. I don't care what we do, everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah. You know I want him nah. My heart is saying yeah.
Hello and thank you for watching that video. What you may not know is this channel that you've watched this video from is part of a wider group. That wider group is called AppleCore Production, and the 3 channels that we have involved are as follows: Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks Chat, Boffick's Tax Tip. Finally, we have AppleCore Live and Geeky. All the links and everything are down below in the description, but it really means a lot to us if you can go and give a like to the other channels as well.